number 8 out of 9 classes. And this week's topic is the Chishuf HaKeitz, calculating the end time, meaning calculating the time of Mashiach. So today is 8 out of 9, and next week will be where are we holding. So this is a very interesting topic because we have very contradicting things in many different sources. Just to give a layout of the share, first we'll discuss the reasons and the sources of why not to reveal the time of Mashiach, and then we'll go through a little bit historically many different times that they did reveal certain different times and what's the explanation of that, and then we'll go on to explain the sources that say why we could reveal it and why it should be revealed. Now obviously the main point is that Mashiach should come, and you see in all the sources that's everyone's goal and may happen very soon. So the first source is a Gmorah that is quoted, probably everyone who quotes anything about the Keitz quotes this Gmorah, whether it's to bring it as a source why we don't explain, or they have to answer why their explanation is different. The Gmorah says, Amar Reb Shmuel ben Nachmani, Amar Reb Yochanan. Tipach, this aleph is a mistake. Tipach atzmon shal mechashvei kitzin. May the very essence of those who calculate the time of the end be full of pain. Why? And the Gmorah gives a very simple reason. Shayu oimrim, people will say, Kivan shehigia sakait v'loi ba, shuv ein ba. That people would say, Chas v'shalom, especially as Rashi explains, especially some calculations we don't know exactly who are we to calculate, and people will make wrong calculations, and then if the time comes and passes, they will say, oh, he won't, kivan shehigia sakait, the time came v'loi ba, and he didn't come, shuv ein ba. He will not come again. Rather, Elo chakeloi, rather wait for him, shenamar, as it says in Yismama, chakeloi, if he waits, wait for him, and constantly we should yearn and await Moshe. So here we see first of all the source that we shouldn't calculate the time of the Keitz, as well as the basic reason is because it could lead to big problems of maybe people calculating a time and the time comes and Mashiach doesn't come in that time. Another briefly simple explanation is that, as we see, unfortunately we're in Galus for so many years already, and if 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago they would say that Mashiach will come, Mitzvah Chav Vav Adar Tavshin Ayin Ches, then it will be, it's going to be such a long time. So that could be a very big turn-off. So that's why, those are the two basic reasons why not to reveal Mashiach. So now let's take a minute. We'll go through the story of Yaakov. Before Yaakov's death, Yaakov gathered his children to bless them. And there's an interesting hint in the pasuk that Yaakov wanted to reveal the Keitz, he wanted to reveal the time of Mashiach. So let's go to the source. Vayikra Yaakov el Banov, Yaakov gathered, called his children, Vayomer, and he told them, Hey Asvu, gather, Vagida lachem, and I'll tell you, Es asher yikra eschem, what will happen to you, Bi'achris hayomim, in the end of days. Now, being that there's a redundancy here, Rashi gathers that this means Bikesh leGalus HaKeitz. Yaakov wanted to reveal the Keitz, the time to his children, and the Ramban explains that Achris Hayomim, the end of time, is referring to Yemos Mashiach. And as he was about to reveal to them, Nistalka Mimeno HaShchina, the Shchina went away from him. That's why he started speaking other things. Yaakov gathered the children, he wanted to reveal, he saw the Shekhinah is not with him, so he didn't know. The simple meaning is, he no longer had the revelation of when Moshe is going to come, so therefore he cancelled it. It was just an interesting point, and the Medrash explains that, actually Rashi also brings it down, that when he saw the Shekhinah went away from him, he was worried that maybe one of his children are not the way they should be, and therefore the Shekhinah is not there. But that's why he said Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, and all the children answered Baruch Shem Kevod Malchus L'Olam Vad. The famous expression of Ein B'Lebeinu Ela Echad, we only have in our heart one Hashem. But at any rate, so we see here that Yaakov wanted to reveal it to them, and then the Shekhinah went away. So now we have to understand two things. First of all, why would Yaakov want to reveal Mashiach to his children, meaning to the Jewish people at that time? Why would he want to reveal it to them? We know, again, unfortunately, it is a very long time from then till Mashiach. What would be the point of that? So first of all, the simple point would be that the Gmorah says like this. This is a long piece of Gmorah. We're not going to read through the whole thing. Of Yeshua ben Levi describing how he saw a group of people sitting outside, and they were wrapping their bandages. But at one point, he met Eliyahu Novi. Amalei Shalom Alecha by Levi. Welcome to you, Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Eliyahu Novi greeted Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Well, hello. Amalei Laimis Asimar. When are you coming? Oh, sorry. It's Asla Gab Eliyahu came to Eliyahu Novi. Amalei Mai Amar Loch. The Amarle, okay, just one of the Amarle, he told me, Hayoim Asina, I'll come today. Mashiach told Rabbi Shua ben Levi will come today, and so Rabbi Shua ben Levi is asking Eliyahu Novi, he said he'll come today, but Asa didn't come. Amarle, he told him, Hachi Amarlach, this is what he meant to tell you. Hayoim, he'll come today. He didn't mean that literally he'll come today, but rather he was referring to a pasuk, Hayoim im bekoilis tishmo, today, if you listen to me. That says in Torah that Hashem says, Hayoim, if you listen, then Mashiach will come. Meaning that Mashiach was telling Rabbi Shua ben Levi is that I'm ready to come today as soon as we are prepared, as soon as the Jewish people are prepared for Mashiach. As it says in the Gmorah continues to say, Amar Reb Yeshua ben, it says, Rabbi Shua ben Levi Rabbi Shua ben Levi asked a contradiction. It says, Ksiv Be'ita, it says that Mashiach will come in its time, Ksiv Achishena, that I will hasten it, I will make it come fast. So the answer is Zachu, if they merit Achishena, it will come fast. Lo Zachu Be'ita. Meaning like this: there is a time for Mashiach to come, and that may be a very long time. However, if there's a special schus, if the Jewish people are especially prepared, if you listen to Hashem, as well as Zachu, their Zeicher, meaning then Achishena, then Mashiach will come before the time. So that was Yaakov Avinu's thinking. That was what Yaakov Avinu was trying to do. Why did he want to reveal to them? Because that was his point. He wanted to tell them it will be a very long time. But at the same time, he was trying to tell them, to encourage them, that if you do what you're supposed to, then he will come very soon. So now that we understand what Yaakov Avinu was thinking, so now let's try to understand what was the problem. Okay, so if Yaakov Avinu was thinking a very logical thing, he was trying to encourage them to do Avodas Hashem and to hasten Mashiach. So what was the problem with that? So to understand this, I'll share a story that many of us know, but it's important. It brings out this point very strongly. One of the Baal Shem Tov's Talmidim, Wolf Keitz. Wolf Keitz was one of the great Talmidim of Baal Shem Tov. He always wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael. He lived by the Baal Shem Tov in Mezhebush, but he had this great, tremendous desire to go to Eretz Yisrael, and whenever he would ask the Baal Shem Tov would tell him no. Finally, at his when he was getting older, he realized that if he doesn't go now, he's never going to make it to Eretz Yisrael. So he went to Baal Shem Tov and he asked the Baal Shem Tov, "Can I go to Eretz Yisrael?" Baal Shem Tov ignored him, so he came back the next day. Baal Shem Tov told him, "If you really want to go, I'll give you my blessing. But make sure to be very careful with your words." Fine. So he was already so excited he's going to Israel. Finally, his life wish is coming true, and he's gonna travel to Israel. So when he bought a ticket or whatever they had in those days for the ship. Obviously, it's going to be a big trip of a few months. But he was excited, so he went on the ship. On the ship there was some waves, and there was a problem with the ship. They had to dock the boat by some island in the middle of nowhere. They said they'll stop by the island, and they'll be on the island until they fix the boat. So on the island, Wolf Keitz is there, and he bumps into this very impressive elderly Jew. And he sees him and tells him, "Shalom Aleichem." So the elderly Jew told him, I heard, "Where are you from?" "I'm from Ukraine." "I heard that the Jews in Ukraine are suffering very much." The suffering, this was a little after the time of the Crusades, and this terrible suffering. Wolf Keitz was in total excitement of his trip to Eretz Yisrael, and he was very uplifted spiritually. So he said, "No, Baruch Hashem, all these tzarus cause people to do Tshuvah, cause people to return to Hashem." So this elderly Jew asked again, but I heard that they can't. It's terrible. So he said, "No, don't worry. We know, as we say actually in the Agada, Pesach is coming up. Every generation, they come upon us to hurt us, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzleinu miyadam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saves us. I'm not worried." So this elderly Jew sighed very strongly and started crying and disappeared. And then Wolf Keitz remembered what the Baal Shem Tov told him, to be careful with what he says. So he felt very bad that he did something wrong. So he right away decided he's not going to Israel, he's going back to Baal Shem Tov. So he went back to Baal Shem Tov. Right when he walked in to the room, the Baal Shem Tov told him, "I want you to know that this Jew that met you was Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu is constantly fighting in Shemayim for Mashiach to come already. And he says that the Jews are living in unlivable conditions. So they send him down from Shemayim. You go down and ask the Jew how it is." And they sent him from Shemayim, they sent him to ask you. And if you would say that, and if Avraham Avinu wanted to hear that we can't live one more moment in Galus, and then Mashiach would come right away. This is the very frightening story. Now, if you think about it, what is the point of this story? If the reality is that the Jewish people are living in a terrible situation, then Mashiach should come. And if not, then Mashiach should... Why does it matter what he says? Why does it matter if Wolf Keitz would say that we can't live one more moment in Galus? Why would that be different? So, we see in the Rambam, V'chol mi she'enoi ma'amin boi, whoever doesn't believe in him, or doesn't hope, await his coming. If Chaz Shalom, someone doesn't believe in Mashiach, now we know, but the Rambam adds a line, to yearn for his coming. And we see that the point is that Hashem wants Mashiach should come. The first thing, it has to come from the Jewish people. We have to yearn and desire Mashiach. And that's the way Mashiach should come. In a very simple example is, you ask any therapist in the world. The first thing they'll tell you, if a person wants to get cured, You have to want to be cured. That's a simple example, but it's much deeper than that. The way Hashem wants Mashiach should come, He wants it to be from our desire. We should be the ones bringing Him on. We should be working, we should be preparing the world, and we should be learning for bringing Mashiach. And that's what the Rebbe explains, that Yaakov Avinu, Hashem didn't let Yaakov Avinu reveal it to his children. Why? Because Yaakov Avinu was trying to help them, to encourage them, to explain to them that it's up to them. It could come right now, it could come in a few thousand years. So that's why Hashem made that he shouldn't be able to read it, to reveal it to him. The Sikh is actually originally in Yiddish. I just found the translation online. Not the original. Shchina histalka min Yaakov. The Shchina left Yaakov. Loi ifshiroi loi legalus es hakeitz levanav, and did not allow him to reveal the time of Mashiach to his children. V'yesh Levi advarim b'da'omek. The Rebbe explains, Kedei she'geula tiyeh nitzchis, in order for the Geula to be everlasting, b'li shenuyim, without any changes, nidrash shegam ha'avodah shel Yehudim, that the work of the Yidden, that Hamavim as a Geula, bring the Geula, tiyeh me'ein zeh should be in that way, ba'oifim shel shenisi b'li shenuyim, and as you should have in your shorts, it's a little more. Omnam, I don't know what it's missing on the screen, in the source sheets in the second paper. Omnam kasher avoda, nasis miyad siyur milmayla. But when the avoda is with help from above, harei ein nitzchis ba'avoda. There's no nitzchis ba'avoda. There's no eternity in the avoda. The kasher siyur alekin elam. In other words, there has to be a complete consistency with the avodah. Dafke b'shah she'avodah ba b'serus l'sato he b'bchinas davar ha'meskayim v'gedemes l'geula nitzcha she'ein achere shuv Galus. And I'll explain that by heart. The Rebbe says like this: if the encouragement for the avodah comes with help from a tzaddik, with encouragement from the tzaddik, so that means it's coming from external inspiration. And if it's coming from external inspiration, when the inspiration leaves, the yearning leaves. And in order for us to bring a Moshiach which is nitzchi, which is everlasting, it has to come with a consistent and everlasting avodah. And that only happens when the avodah is coming from the person himself. When the avodah is coming from the person himself, then it lasts. When a person is inspired from an inner inspiration, not from something outside, that is something that could last, and that will bring on Mashiach. So here the Rebbe explains why Yaakov didn't reveal the Keitz, and maybe why in general it's not a good idea to reveal the Keitz, because, at least in the case of Yaakov Avinu, the goal of revealing the Keitz was for encouragement, and the encouragement has to come from the Jewish people themselves and not from tzaddikim. Another, I could say, frightening story that brings out that point, briefly, is the story of the Chayza of Lubin. The Chayza, a few tzaddikim made a deal together that, just keep in mind which tzaddik passed away. There was three tzaddikim that made a deal. One of them, I forgot which one, said he'll go to Shemayim. He passed away shortly afterwards, and he'll work to bring Moshiach from the heaven, and the Chayza and will work down here to bring Moshiach. This was right before, this was in Cholamei Tzukis. Right before, by Hakafis, the Chayza was learning, in Simchas Torah, by Hakafis the Chayza was dancing very strong. At a certain point, he told his Rebbetzin that I'm going into the room, but keep an eye on me. And she was distracted because someone came to the door, and she went to the door to open the door, and then she went back, returned to the Chayza's room, and she saw he wasn't there. And later they found him on the street, sick. He fell out. He somehow. It's not clear what exactly happened. He was hurt, and he got very sick. And a few months later, he passed away. And he said the reason why, because he was pushing too strong for the Moshiach. The interesting thing that he said, when people knew that he was very sick, so his Misnagdim, his opponent, said, we'll make a big celebration when he passes away. So he said, the day I pass away, they're not even going to drink water. And what happened was, he passed away on Tisha B'Av. When everyone fasts, and they weren't able to drink water. But in any case, we obviously we don't understand the story. I'm not going to, but it's also, you see, if it's coming too much from a push of tzaddikim, rather than coming from the avodah of the people, then there's a problem. Okay. But now we're going to go to another shlav, the next point in the share. We see in history, I was trying to organize how many you have historically, how many times tzaddikim did go ahead and reveal a Keitz, reveal a time for Moshe. Now, I got to a list of about 26, 27 times that it's revealed, where I'm talking about tzaddikim, revealed the time for Moshe. So we're not going to go through all the times, but first I want to give, before we go into a few different examples, there's many times, the explanation, before we go into examples, there's obviously a question. If, let's say, for example, Daniel, the first source of a Keitz, of a time for Mashiach, says already in the Nevi'im, Daniel gave a time for Mashiach to come. And that time came and went, and Mashiach didn't come, unfortunately. And this whole list that we're going to go through, all of those times passed. And that's why the Rebbe constantly said the expression, Kolu Kol HaKitzin, that all the ends, all the signs were finished, now it's time for Mashiach to come. But the question is, if they said that time is going to come, then what happened? So the main explanation is that really, what they were saying is that time is a special Eis Ratzin. It's a time that's very fit for Mashiach to come, and again, if we'll be Zeicha, if we'll merit, then Mashiach will come that time. But unfortunately, we weren't Zeicha. But also, you see, not in all the times, but in many of the times, there's explanations that were given later how this case revealed itself to a certain extent. For example, one of the years is the year that the Arizal was born. The Arizal came and revealed Prerequisites Torah, which the revelation of the hidden parts of the Torah, is a preparation for Mashiach. And then now let's go through a few examples where we see answers. So we made a little bit of a chart of, first of all, Mechashev HaKeitz, who authored it, what year did he say it's going to be in, different sources of how he got to that conclusion, and over here in this box you see Shiurim, things that transpired in that year. So let's go through specific examples. So actually we're going to skip this one. We're going to go to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was talking about the year of Tav Ches, the year of Tach, which is a famous year known historically as a sad year. We'll get to that in a minute. So in the Zohar it says, the pasuk B'shnas Hayovel Hazois, he says Hazois, the word Hazois, Hayovel Hazois, is Misparei Heit Tav Ches, concludes to the year of 5,408. And that's also Tshuvah Ishal Chuzase, everyone will return to their inheritance to Eretz Yisrael. That's what the Zohar said. Now this was about, or exactly, a few 170 years ago. Tav Ches, the Tav Shin Ein Ches, is 370 years ago. So what happened in that year? That year there was a lot of this is known what? Pogroms. Yeah, there were many different pogroms and terrible tragedies that happened in the years of Tav Ches and Tav Tes, known as Tach V'Tat. In these years, they say that a third of Klal Yisrael, a third of the Jewish people, were killed in this short time, and that's a terrible time in history, and obviously it doesn't explain anything really. It's just you see that the Keitz has some meaning. Now, it actually, certain tzaddikim said that was the time of Muhammad's Gog and Magog, of the troubles that have to come before Mashiach comes, and the world was getting ready. So you see, that's one example where you see how Mashiach, how the Keitz expressed itself over here, unfortunately, in a negative manner. Next one is in a more positive, also in the Zohar. So in the Zohar, he writes, we won't go through the whole source, but the Zohar, he concludes that the year of Taf Reish is a year for Mashiach to come. And this is actually an explanation from the Rebbe that what happened in that year. In that year, it was already after the Bolshan, but in that year the Prerequisite Torah started spreading very strongly, and also very interesting, that year the technology and general science started growing very strongly. So you see also the revelation of a certain sinas kach, of a certain encouragement from Mashiach, was happening in that year. So now we won't go through everything; it's getting late. But one very important time that we have to discuss is, it's known that the Rebbe in Mamarim discusses hints. The Rebbe in Mamarim hints to the year of Taf Gimel, is Taf Reish Gimel or Taf Reish Ches. And those years, Taf Kuf Gimel, Taf Kuf Ches. Taf Kuf Gimel, Taf Kuf Ches, there's different versions of what it was. So the Rebbe hints to those years. And there's a story that the Maril, the Rebbe's brother, after the Alter Rebbe passed away, asked the Alter Rebbe why, asked not Alter Rebbe, the Maril asked the Tzemach Tzedek what happened. Alter Rebbe said that he's going to come. So the Tzemach Tzedek said that in the year of Taf Kuf Ches was the year that the Likutei Torah was printed. Meaning also you see that there was a revelation of some sort of revelation of Prerequisite Torah in the year of Taf Kuf Ches, of the printing of the Likutei Torah. Taf Reish Ches, sorry. Just all the years is confusing. Taf Reish Ches was the year of the printing of the Likutei Torah. Is also a Keitz of some sort. Now again, we don't know exactly what this means. But the point being, after all this said and done, you could sit there all night going through different very interesting things in history. One tzaddikim said that Mashiach will come, and what actually happened in that year. But before that, we have to explain what happened. In other words, what happened all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden we just saw the sources Tipach Atzam Atzman Shamachash Vekitzin, terrible things of someone that calculates the times. Why all of a sudden did we start calculating the times? So first we'll go through various different ideas. First by heart we'll say two reasons. One reason that Barbanel says that depends really who does it. A very simple explanation. The Gmorah says Atzman Shamachash Vekitzin, those who calculate it based on their own calculations. In other words, based on their own conclusions. But you're allowed to work from the Torah to see hints, as we saw earlier. All these things were hints in the Torah or in the Nevi'im, and again, also made by big tzaddikim that knew what they're doing, knew how to learn the psukim, so that's no issue. So that's a simple explanation, and that's important to know, because that's probably the answers why it's not a problem, why the terrible things the Gmorah says is not referred to tzaddikim making a Keitz, concluding a Keitz, based on the Torah. Now, The next thing we're going to read from is from a letter called Igeres Teman. Igeres Teman is from the Rambam. The Rambam wrote this a letter to the people in Yemen, to the Jews in Yemen that were going through a very, very hard time. They were being persecuted in a terrible way. And also, in addition to that, there was a guy that got up, where he utilized that opportunity, and he got up and said he's Moshiach, a Moshiach Schechter. So the Rambam writes, it's actually a pretty long letter. This is an excerpt from that letter. He writes, he elaborates, first of all, how to differentiate, how to know if someone's a real Mashiach or he's a false Mashiach. And this guy in Yemen was obviously a false Mashiach. And also words of encouragement to the people going through that pain. So the Rambam also, in his words of encouragement, he brings different people that were mechashiv the Keitz, that did conclude times for the Keitz, and one of them is, he's specifically referring to the Ipsad Goyin. Ipsad Goyin, as you have it in your chart, came to the date of Tov Kuf Ayin Vov. And that's the Rambam's date. The Ipsad Goyin's date was a little earlier than that. And he told them that, this was a very short time after the time the Rambam wrote this letter, and the Rambam explained to them that Mashiach is very close. Now, so the Rambam asked the question, how could the Ipsad Goyin conclude a time for Mashiach if we learn in the Gmorah that Tipach Atzmon Shamachasha Kitzin? And interestingly, the Rambam actually brings that in his Sefer of Halachos, in the Yad HaChazaka, the Rambam brings Asur L'Chashev Kitzin, that is prohibited to calculate the end. So over here where we're going to read now, is where he explains why the Ipsad Goyin actually did reveal it. The people of the Ipsad Goyin generation were Balei Svaris, Rabbis, and Shchassis, were full of very negative, bad logic. And it would have lost Hashem's Torah Lulehu Olav Shalom. If not for him, in other words, he saved the Torah, because he revealed in the Torah what was hidden, and strengthened what was getting weak. And then he saw that the best thing to do, to gather the generational derech cheshbon akitzim on the cheshbon of the end, to strengthen them and to add to their hope. So he explains that's a different point. So the Rambam explains like this. The Ipsad Goyin saw that it's terrible times and Torah will be completely lost. And the Jewish people need to be encouraged. So as an encouragement, he told them that Mashiach is coming very soon. And the Rambam earlier explains how his Keitz passed and didn't come. The Rambam gives an answer to that, but that's not our focus. The main point is, the Rambam explains very simple. The reason why we could be Mechashiv Keitz, we could reveal when the Keitz is coming, it's for a very simple reason. Because people are weak, and the Emunah is getting very weak, and in order to encourage them, we're going to explain that Mashiach is coming soon. That's one explanation of the Rambam. The Ramban says something a little different, but very nice also. I'll say it by heart. The Ramban says that when was there a problem to reveal when Mashiach is coming? Yaakov Avinu had a problem. Or even later in the times of Gmorah, when Mashiach was so far. But now that we're getting so close to Mashiach, on the contrary, in other words, he's saying the reason what the problem was, and Mashiach's very far, and people will feel very weak, right? If you tell us that Mashiach's coming in 1,000 years, then it would be very hard. But the Ramban already, which Ramban lived probably about 800 years ago, he writes that Mashiach is very close already, and now there's nothing to worry about. All the kitzim that we're revealing are very soon, and that's why, on the contrary, it will only encourage people's emunah. So, just pointing that out, that Mashiach should come very soon. So here we have, again, two reasons why to reveal when Mashiach will come. So now we're going to learn the Sikha. We'll try to go through it as much as possible, where the Rebbe addresses this issue, this very issue. How, on one hand, do we say that it's a terrible thing to reveal when the Keitz will come, and on the other hand, it was revealed. So the Gmorah says, Tipach Atzmon Shel Machadshei Kitzin, as we learned earlier, that those who calculate the time of the Keitz should be full of pain, their essence should be in pain, and the Rambam brings this specifically, and the Rambam himself brings it in the Sefer, V'chein le'ichash v'kitzin, Amru Chachamim Tipach Rucham Shel Machadshei Kitzin. So the Rambam says you're not allowed to. We do find an abundance of times that the Chazal gave, that different Chachamim gave. Noisef of Chazal and Gmorah, even in Gmorah you find it, which that we skip, but even in Gmorah mentions Daniel's case, Daniel the Novi Daniel. Oich from Gedolei Yisrael shel Achriz man hashas b'chol hadoros. V'noisef of Chazal, the Rambam allein schreibt a case, we get a statement shelo. The Rambam himself writes a case of the year Tov Kufayin Vav. So how does that work? And then in generations afterwards, how does this work? The pastors lernt man as mit Tipach Atzmon Shel Machadshei Kitzin wird gemeint, so hoye oimnim kime shegiye es a Keitz v'lo ba shuv enim ba. Und with the Rambam is masbir, as das bringt das Kisholem mit der Kol Am, weil Shema Yitu Bereusem Shaboy Kitzin v'lo ba. Weil das Goyim sein Heder Amuna in Bias HaMashiach. Lefir is Paulem Chacham Shetipach Daitam B'Shachas Cheshboner. In other words, the main reason what the problem with calculating the case is that the time could come and Mashiach won't come, and that obviously will weaken the belief in Mashiach. Masha Enkein was the Gedolei Yisrael and Gal Geven Kitzim is as Geven Adrabe to the Tachlis Achinayla. So the Rebbe says in the simple sense, as we just saw in the Rambam himself, that the purpose of revealing the Keitz was only to encourage them. In other words, they made a calculated decision in later generations that we need to strengthen the emunah of Mashiach, and therefore they revealed, because they basically saw that it's better, it will be more encouraging at this point in history to reveal. But the Rebbe says that the Rebbe explained, "V'balta tzadikim zein b'chol zman meshach haGalus, v'da'avoide b'chol yom v'rega from Galus is koilil in zich and bringt in yonei Geula." Meaning, as we know, that our job in Galus is to gather the nitzitis of Kedusha, or in more simple terms, to refine the world and to make the world a more refined place, and to be able to hold the revelation of Hashem. So as the years go on, and as more and more Torah mitzvahs is done throughout the generation, the world gets more and more refined, and more ready for Mashiach. So the Gedolei Yisrael that revealed it, they were able to see it. We can't see the world being refined, but the tzaddikim that revealed to us the case were able to see it, and therefore, onach jeder Tag in Galus sehen sie die Esafa bageluyim, l'aliyas in the Geula, bis as die Esafa kleiben sich zusammen und es kommt der Matze von Shleimus bei Esafa. And they see every single day how the world is getting better, and the revelation of Hashem is getting stronger and closer, till they see that it's coming to an end. Ze megal gewen zman a shleimus nas a Keitz, as ma halt in de Griechen und zukommen zu der Stemmes von der Sache, von dem Hechen und Gilui, und wenn man darf der Worte von meiner Sohn, das man zwischen dem Galus und dem Keitz und dem Gmorah Keitz sein, behessen und Shleimus a Gilui, as das all kommen in David Das and the Torah. So the Rebbe is really saying here 2 points. First of all, they were able to see almost physically how close Mashiach is already, and they were witnessing how the world is getting more and more refined. So they revealed the Keitz, meaning we're almost there. We filled up 95% of the cup. We filled up 99% of the cup. We just need to do, and as you see this so much in the Rebbe's language, everything is ready. We need to do the last mitzvah for Mashiach to come. We're so close. It's both words of encouragement and also demanding words. That now the revelation of Hashem is more present, and now the world is more refined. Now we are so responsible to make this happen. And as Mele Neusif as es Poshet as nicht wegen dem Retter Isser von Chishuv Kitzim. So first of all, obviously this doesn't contradict the Gmorah. The Gmorah is just for people to try to that are calculating it kind of for intellectual reasons. They want to just they're learning and they say, oh, they're calculating when the Keitz is coming. But if the purpose is to encourage people to bring Mashiach, that already we see in the Rambam that there's no issue with that. It's tzaddikim gedolim, but they zeh the aliyah gedolah rechush gadol. They see the great elevation. Was Yidden haben schon der Grech bis man hazeh, was das bringt sie zu mafli sein bejöse beschifkam für Yidden und Aves Yisrael, was chusen für Yidden alle Yidden. In other words, this was done through tzaddikim, that they saw what the Jewish people accomplished. They saw the value of every mitzvah and how that makes the world more ready. So that was coming from that perspective. Is Adarab as a darken das Megalas an als Schechter und das Haus beweist Hashem in Asinas Pecha Idee Zeh. But the Yidden sollen noch mehr Moitze sein bevedas und behessen Zeh Kanal, meaning that they saw what we accomplished, what the Jewish people, what every simple person with a simple mitzvah accomplishes, and makes the world more and more ready. So they were trying to encourage people to come, to encourage people to bring Moshe. So again, you see on one hand, there's the issue with revealing the Keitz, but on the other hand, if the purpose of the revelation is for words of encouragement and for words of telling people that Mashiach is coming very soon, that's why it was so important to reveal this. Just to conclude, there is a word by Chassidim. We say by Parsha Zachar, we read a few weeks ago, Parsha Zachar, we say Zecher, Zecher Amalek. We say it in 2 different versions. The word by Chassidim, Zalzana Zayad or Azayim, let it be like this or like this, Abi Oismeker. We want to wipe out Amalek. May it be Zecher or Zecher, we don't really care. We should wipe out Amalek. In the same note, whether we are Mechashiv Kitzin or we're not Mechashiv Kitzin, we're definitely ready for Mashiach, and Mashiach come very soon. Take it from Yad Mamash. Now, the next week's share is Where Are We Holding? That's next week Monday, the final share of this series by Rabbi Goldberg. Mashiach come before that. Any questions?